love Christmas crafts? Well, I sure do. Hi, my name is Katie from Lady Red Crafting, and today we're going to craft some fun wood items that I found at the Dollar Tree. Let's jump right into craft number 1. So this craft is starting out with a wood tag that I found at the Dollar Tree, and it's about 1 inch thick. And I'm going to use some of these fun stencils that I found on Amazon. And this little set comes for like $6.99, and you get 6 stencils in the set. So it's a great value, and they're washable and reusable. So for our first step here, we're going to use some antique wax from Waverly, and we're going to stain our block. And once that is completely dry, I'm grabbing some plaster Waverly chalk paint, and we're just going to whitewash the block on both sides. So today I am participating in a What Would You Make challenge hosted by Connie's Workshop and DIYs, Rustic and Lace DIYs, and guest host Crafting with Indie Annie Jones. Thank you ladies for hosting this wonderful challenge. Their link and the link to the playlist is down in my description box below. Please check them out and give them some love. Thank you. And once our block is completely dry, I'm going to use some painter's tape to make a rectangle so that I have a place that I can paint with some chalk paint. So this will work out really well with our stencil here. So I just am realigning the blue tape until we get it to the way we like it. Next step here, I'm using Folk Art chalkboard paint, and I want to use this on purpose because if you can see there's a little square on my stencil that says the number of days until Santa stops here, and I want to be able to fill that in using some chalk. So I'm going to do 2 thick coats of this paint on here just to make sure that I have enough paste on this to be able to use our chalk in the square. And once I removed the paint, I decided to just take a little bit more chalk paint and just paint around it to make it a little bit more rustic and not so straight lined. And I thought that looked a little better. And once everything is completely dry, we put our stencil on top of that paint. Now to paint the stencil on, I'm using Redesign chalk paste. And this I did get on Amazon, and the color is Vintage Lace, and all the links are in my description box below. Just click on the Amazon store there. And once everything is completely dry, we're going to go ahead and reattach the string at the top of our tag. Could stop here, but I thought this needed a little bit more embellishments, so I'm adding a little bit of greenery to the top of the tag. And I did get this greenery at the Dollar Tree. It's one of their new picks this year. And then I'm going to add just a mini pine cone in the center. And I thought this would be beautiful to hang on a tree, but I'm actually going to use it on my tiered tray. And wow, I love how this turned out. Craft number 2. So I've walked by this woodberry leaf a few times at the Dollar Tree, and I keep thinking, well, this would be really cute, but what would I use it for? So I decided to buy that, and we're going to make a Christmas tree out of it. So I found this little just Christmas tree topper star at the Dollar Tree as well, and we're just going to remove the little corkscrew on the bottom here. And once we remove the corkscrew, save that for a bonus craft after this one. Set that aside and let's start decorating our leaf. I place it on a paintable surface, and I just tend to cut up some cardboard and I leave it in my craft room, and it works great for painting. I'm going to remove the hanger from this leaf as well. Now, I'm grabbing some Waverly antique wax, and we're just going to wipe this wax all over the leaf. And once we have it stained on both sides, I set it aside to dry. And now I'm going to grab my chalk paint in the color plaster, and I'm using a round brush for this. And we're just going to dry brush some snow all over our leaf. And to make it look more like snow, I'm just tapping the brush like so. So it's just tap, tap, tap all over our tree. And I'm doing both sides just in case you want to make this reversible. Now, once our tree is completely dry, we're going to attach the star from earlier. And I'm just bending it just to make sure it fits perfect up at the top of this tree. And we're using some hot glue to attach. And since the star is kind of hollow in the back side of it, I am going to flip the tree over and just add a little bit more hot glue, kind of like a little wall, to make sure everything stays into place. Now, I did put a lot of hot glue back here, so I let that dry for about 10 minutes. Let's make a stand for our tree. I'm using some of this foam from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just cutting a small square out of it. And we're going to have to round out the edges to get it to fit in our little container. And this container I did find at the Dollar Tree. It is a candle holder, and it was in the candle section. And I'm just going to try to get that to sit down into that container. And once we do that, we're going to grab some hot glue, and I just kind of squirt the hot glue down there and move the foam into place. And then I do that again on the other side. I lift it up slightly and add some more hot glue. So for our next step here is we're just going to insert our tree into that piece of foam. And then I'm going to add a little bit of hot glue around the edges there just to make sure it stays into place. Now let's dress up our container. I'm using some burlap, and this burlap I did get at the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to cut a square big enough to be able to wrap this around the candle holder, and I'm going to just trim any extra stuff off of the burlap just to make sure it looks a little bit cleaner. And once we get that done, I'm going to take some ribbon, and this ribbon I got at Hobby Lobby, and we're going to just wrap the burlap up and around the container, and then using the ribbon, which will also help keep everything in place very well, is we're just going to wrap that around and make a knot. And once you have your knot in place, we just make a really nice bow, and then we can trim any of the excess ribbon and dovetail the tails. And here is the final reveal of our mini Christmas tree. I think this turned out so great. It's very rustic and fun. If you like what you're seeing, please hit that subscribe button below so you don't miss the next craft. So for our bonus craft, we're going to use that little curly Q on the bottom of the star that we cut off. And all we're going to do is just hot glue a little bow onto the top. You could also hot glue like a little star, and this works great to put on a tiered tray. Craft number 3. So for this craft, I'm using a 3-piece sign, and I'm only using the top piece of that 3-piece sign, and a small wood coaster and a stencil. To see what I made with the rest of the sign, click on that card above. So let's put our square sign on a paintable surface, and I'm going to grab some paint. I'm using Flamingo Red from Apple Barrel and some white chalk paint. With the 3 rectangles already cut out on this square sign, I'm going to do a candy cane look. So we're going to start out by going white on the top, red in the center, and white on the bottom. So to do this, I like to paint my white paint first, and then we're going to let that dry, and then we'll add our red in the center after we do that. And once the red paint is completely dried, if you make any mistakes, this is a good time to fix those with your white paint. So let's go ahead and remove that sign from our paintable surface and let it dry. Now I'm grabbing my wood coaster here, and we're going to use our Waverly chalk paint in white and just give a nice coat of white over the top of that coaster. You do not need to paint the back side if you do not want to. Next, I have this beautiful stencil that I got on Amazon, and I have a link down in my description box below, and it says sweet but twisted. Does that make me a candy cane? Now let's grab some chalk paste, and I'm using redesigned chalk paste in the color Iron Gate, and we're just going to squeegee over the top of our stencil here. And let's remove the stencil in one swoop, and it looks just amazing. And to finish this, we're going to use our Jolene finishing wax, and I'm using just a lint-free cloth to apply. We're going to set that aside to dry. And while that was drying, I decided that it would be better to change up the background to 2 red stripes and 1 white stripe. And I liked going over the other colors with the red and the white because it kind of brought the other colors through, and I thought it gave it a really nice look. So I found the super glue mounting tape at the Dollar Tree, and it works amazing. And I'm going to put 4 pieces on the back side of our little coaster. And once I have the tape applied, I just remove the backing, and we're just going to attach this to the center of our sign. And for our last embellishment, we're going to hot glue a raffia bow up at the top of our sign. And this turned out so cute. This is a great little door hanger or sign that you can put on a tiered tray. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button below. And please remember, craft more, stress less.